about you can say Assam floods, right? You must have seen that you can say the situation is very critical there in the state of Assam as far as the floods are concerned. That is a you can say traditional problem in that state, right? So so we can say floods are a traditional problem in that state, right? So beta, our question particularly in this respect today is that Assam floods are chronic and cruel, right? So what are the causes? What are the causes and control measures taken by the government, right? To you can say prevent this problem, to prevent or mitigate this problem, right? To prevent or mitigate this problem. So this is the question today, right? So I think you must have you can say reading it in the news columns and right listening you can say in the news also on the we can say various you can say TV channels also, right? That you can say problem of floods is very severe there in that state, right? Approximately 23 districts have been affected in that state and 25 lakh people have been affected by the floods and more than 100 people have been killed by the floods, right? And the Golpara district of that state is the, you can say, worstly affected district where approximately 5 lakh people have been, you can say, affected by these floods, right? So beta, first of all, right? So the Assam floods are chronic and cruel, right? So just in two or three sentences, we can you can say mention this in our introduction, right? So in our introduction, we will address this line that Assam floods are very chronic and cruel. So that will be covered in introduction, right? In introduction, because we should have agree with this also, right? Only then we would be able to mention the causes and you can say it's a you can say control measures, right? So the next here is that is the various causes of the Assam floods, right? And the next problem, this question seems easy, but right, even then such type of questions can be asked. Even the question can be asked by the UPSC that we can say suggest a flood control strategy for India. That question can also be asked, right? So causes, then control measures taken by the government of India so far till now, right? And then we can write here the concluding part, or you can say that the way forward also, right? So we can write here the concluding part, right? So I will cover that in the concluding part, which you see the way forward, right? So this is there, right? So beta, first of all, we will start with the introduction, right? I think the best introduction for this particular answer will be that the problem of floods in Assam, right, is very you can say chronic, right? And you can say the floods there are almost are, you can say, annual phenomena, right? Which affects, we can say, which affects millions of people, right? Which affects millions of people, right? Families, millions of individuals, families, right? Families, property, right? You can say wildlife, and you can say wildlife and other, you can say, organisms, right? Wildlife and other organisms.
Flora and fauna.
Yes, that is the right. So with the other organisms also. So this is about this. We can write it here, right? So every year, you can say every year, right? Hundreds of lives are taken by the floods, right? By the floods, okay? And floods, we can say, floods affect, right? Floods affect the economy of the people, of the individual, of the economy of the households there, right? Economy of the households there, state economy also, right? And causes and cause, we can say, losses to agriculture, cause losses to, right, agricultural crops also, right? Agricultural crops also, according to an estimate, we can say the annual cost of floods, is approximately equal to 1% of India's GDP. 1% of India's GDP. Right? 1% of India's GDP. There are various natural and we can say anthropogenic causes. Anthropogenic means man-made. Anthropogenic causes behind the Assam floods, right? Behind the Assam floods, right? Right? Though the government has taken a number of measures, right? In the past, and in the present also, right? But the problem still persists. Right? So after this, now we can enter into you can say, its causes, right? You can even cut it further short if you want, right? So that is it, right? So in this introduction also, some lines can be, you can say, compromised, right? Some lines can be cut by you, right? So this is there. Yes, Sukhchand, what do you want to ask?
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਸਰ, ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜੀ ਕਿ 1% GDP ਦਾ, ਸਰ ਇਹ ਇਕੱਲਾ ਅਸਾਮ ਦੇ ਫਲੱਡ ਜਾਂ ਟੋਟਲੀ ਫਲੱਡ ਜੋ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਚ ਆਉਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਜੀ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਚੇਨਈ ਤੇ? ਓਕੇ ਸਰ ਜੀ, ਓਕੇ ਸਰ.
So Assam floods, right? So this is our topic, right? So this is about the introduction, right? So I hope introductory part is clear. So I'm erasing it now. to move further, right? So now we will move further for the causes, right? As far as the causes are concerned, we can, you can say, divide it into various points. One is the meteorological causes, right, which includes the rainfall there, right? And the second cause that is there, that is, we can say, dynamic and unstable nature of Brahmaputra river system, right? Brahmaputra river system, right? So that is there. So in introduction, you can write this line also, that you can say you can say Assam floods are mainly caused by the river Brahmaputra and its tributaries, right? So that is there. So the next cause which we can write here, that is the sediment deposition. Sediment deposition is the next important point which we should write here, right? And the next important point, that is the earthquake prone region also. The next point is earthquake prone region. Earthquake prone region. Earthquake prone region, right? So next point is that, and the next point will be, you can say, human causes, which means the next point is the human causes, which is their anthropogenic causes, or we can say the human causes, right? Anthropogenic causes, right? The anthropogenic causes may include, one is the, we can say, encroachments, right? This is an important cause, that is the encroachments, right? And the second is, we can say, that is the deforestation, right? Deforestation, right, are the two important, we can say, right? Encroachment, deforestation, and we can say, and lack of we can say, solid waste management, which is thrown into the rivers. Lack of solid waste management. So that is why solid waste is thrown into the rivers, which chokes the, you can say, their passage also, right? So these can be the various reasons which we can discuss one by one, right? So as far as the various control measures which have been taken by the government so far, right, among the various control measures, we can write that one is we can say, that is, one measure is the, we can say, building or construction of, we can say, right, building of embankments, and flood walls. These are one of the measures which have been taken by the government so far, right? And embankments and flood walls. This is one measure, right? And the second measure includes here, that is, we can say, that is the river training and bank protection works, right? This is the second, I think, the reason, second measure which has been taken by the government of India, Assam government, right? This is the second one. And third is, you can say, anti-erosion and town protection works. This is to mitigate the losses, no? Anti-erosion and town protection works. to mitigate the losses, anti-erosion and town, you can say, protection works. In town protection works. This is to mitigate the losses, we can say, right? And the next is river channelization. That is the river channelization. That is river channelization. River channelization, right? With pro-siltation devices. Leave that to right. This is enough, right? And the next is drainage improvement. Next is, we can say, drainage improvement. That is the next point. Drainage improvement. So, drainage improvement. This is the next point, which is there, right? And after drainage improvement, there is the raised platforms. That is also to mitigate the losses only. That is not a control measure. That is mitigation measure. Right? Raised platforms, construction of raised platforms, we can say. So that is another mitigation measure, right? So raised platforms, right? So that is the next one. Raised platforms, right? So after this raised platforms, the next point is, we can say, flood forecasting and warning. Right? Flood forecasting and warning. Flood forecasting and warning. Right? So this is the next measure which has been taken by the government so far. Right? So this is important, right? So anywhere, if the question is asked about the flood control, right? So what measures have been taken by the government to flood control? Almost these are the common measures, right? And one more point for in case of the floods in Bihar, question is asked, right? So there you can add one more point, that is the scheme of interlinking of rivers by the government, right? So that will also help, you can say, in the flood control there. So these are the various points which are important to discuss here, right? So in this concluding part, right, we will talk about two things. First is the insufficiency of measures. Insufficiency of measures, right? The measures taken by the government so far are not sufficient because they are not able to, you can say, address the problem, right? And it seems that the problem is not going to be addressed that way. And the second thing we can talk about, you can say, the way forward, right? Or the strategy, you can say that, right? The way forward. So this can be added here, right? In your concluding part, right? And this way, your question will be completed, right? So this is the draft. This is the sketch of the answer, right? So I suggest everybody to start your answer with these things, right? Spend a minute on this because that will help you. What will be the benefit of this? You can say sketch. Number one, organization of the question, organization of the content, right? Content will be well organized in this way if you do this. Number one, right? Because beta, in the examination hall, right, you all will be almost at the same level, right, who are sitting in the mains examination. So all candidates will be, you can say, well prepared like you. The only difference which you can create in the examination hall, that is by the beautiful presentation in a well organized manner of the content which you are providing there, right? So that is a point of time where you cannot add to your information any new fact or any new thing, right? Only you have to present whatever the information you are having, right, in a, you can say, more beautiful manner and in a more organized way, right? Just better with the same level of information, with the same knowledge, with the same facts. If you present those, you can say beautifully, you can add, I think, 10% marks to your you can say total marks, right? So beta and 10% will be enough, right? If let's suppose 4 plus 2 plus 1, 7 papers are there which are counted for the consideration of the merit, right? So beta in 7 paper, if let's suppose you on average secure 100 marks in one paper. 100 marks in one paper means you have secured, you can say, how many marks? 700 marks now, right? And 10% of the 700 marks is equal to 70 marks, right? So if with this approach you are able to add 70 marks more to your you can say kitty, so then that is something you can say like bonus for you, right? And for that you have to do right, take no burden. You have to take no burden, right? So one thing is that, and second thing is that beta. So from your out sketch, from the sketch only, right? From the sketch only, right? The examiner will got an idea. The examiner will got an idea, right? And बेटा पर्सन का एक माइंड सेट हो जाता है आपको जो आपका फर्स्ट इम्प्रेशन होता है उससे, राइट? सो वो आपको हेल्प करेगा उसमें, राइट? सो द थर्ड इम्पोर्टेंट पॉइंट इज दैट you will feel relaxed for the next 6-7 minutes, right, of answer writing. You will feel relaxed for the next 6-7 minutes of answer writing. For the next 6-7 minutes of answer writing, right? Answer writing, because now you don't have to, you can say, keep the burden, right, on your mind that that you can say don't know, right? Matlab, right, what will happen if I forget any point from this, right? So you remain under, you can say, constant stress, right, while writing the, you can say, answer, right? And while under stress, right, while under stress, you cannot write a good answer, right? Good answer, right? You will definitely forget some things, right? And you will definitely forget something, right? You will definitely forget things there, right? And the quality of your answer will fall. Quality of your answer will fall. So because that is why this is the importance of, you can say, this pre-workout, we can say, right? Which is, right, pre-work, you can say, which is important, I think, part of your study, right? So I suggest you to follow this approach, right? But this is with again an art. This can be learned with practice only, right? But sorry to say that majority of the students are not doing the adequate practice, right? So beta, I am again telling you that majority of students, you can say, have the mindset always that, you can say, keep us teaching, right? And if we will have the sufficient information, we will be able to present that in the examination hall. And they try to write the first answer in their examination hall only, right? And then beta, they never, you can say, qualify that exam because they don't have the requisite skill to, you can say, write their answers. So beta, that is why this is an important platform. right? So I have seen many candidates, right, who have cleared their, you can say, prelims examination for, you can say, all the 4 times, right, in all the 4 attempts, but they could not qualify for the mains examination because they never tried to write it, right? We always, you can say, we always compel them, right, that you write an answer and show it to us, but no, they never responded for that. So and what happened that despite they were quite, you can say, knowledgeable persons, right? They were, you can say, well-informed persons, but still they could not qualify the mains examination because of lack of this art only, right? So that is why this is a part of your preparation. Your preparation is not only, you can say, cramming the books or cramming the, you can say, articles, right? So this is very, 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 very important thing. Okay, right?
Sir?
So, yes.
Sir, can we criticize the government in such type of questions? Like, can we mention here that we don't have National Flood Control Authority till now after independence? We
beta.
are using traditional methods of dredging.
Yes, beta. Basically, in this part of your answer, right, you can write those type of things, right?
In conclusion.
Yes, right. Insufficiency of measures, right? Because because the main requirement of the question is better causes and control measures here, right? Right, Peter? Right?
Okay, sir.
Yes. If the question would be that, right, you can say critically examine the control measures, right, right, taken by the government for the prevention and mitigation of, you can say, Assam floods. In that case, you can write, right?
Okay.
Critically examine, right? So, beta, in that case, that is must. Right?
Okay.
Yes.
Then there we have to mention the criticism of the government schemes.
Yes, beta.
And we have to give way forward also in such
yes,
type of
obviously. Not only you can say uh, problem finders, right? Fact finders, not only, right?
Okay.
Give an alternative solution also, right?
Okay,
Yes. So that is always required, right? When you criticize somebody, so then you must have to tell that, you can say, what is the alternative, right? Only criticism has no meaning.
सर लाइक आपने ऐसे कॉजेज लिखवाए हैं इसमें मेट्रोलॉजिकल डायनामिक जैसे अब मेट्रोलॉजिकल कॉजेज हैं जैसे अगर हम इन जो भी है ये कॉजेज उसके आगे भी हम एरो बना के लिख सकते हैं बिना किसी लाइन के
obviously
जैसे आपने एंथ्रोपोजेनिक कॉजेज में लिखे हैं
yes beta you can write, right? Not an issue. Right?
Okay,
so yes, so beta otherwise you can explain those there in your explanation, right? So yes, so beta this is the main thing. So now let us move further, right? As far as the, you can say, causes part is concerned, right? As far as the causes part is concerned, so firstly we will you can say focus on that, right? As far as the causes part is concerned, right? So beta, in the causes part, the first is the meteorological factor. In the meteorological factor, the only important thing you need to mention is, because otherwise you will not be able to contain it in the prescribed volume. So only fact you have to mention here, that very high rainfall, right? So in that region, rainfall remains very high, right? In that region, rainfall remains very high, right? So average annual rainfall, right, in Assam, right, and the we can say adjoining regions, right, remains one among the highest one among the highest in the country, right? One among the highest in the country, right? So you can say average annual rainfall of the state, average annual rainfall in state of Assam, is approximately, right, 1525 mm. So this is the average annual rainfall which remains there, right? And this rainfall occurs only occurs in a short duration of a monsoon, right? Occurs in a short duration of monsoon. So that is why it is not possible for, right? So you can say streams there, right, could not bear the, you can say, inflow of water at that time. So this is the first point, right? The second important point is the dynamic. The second important point is dynamic and unstable nature of river. Dynamic and unstable nature of river. This is the second point, right? So dynamic and unstable nature of river. So as far as this point is concerned, we can say that majority of the rivers of Brahmaputra system, right? Brahmaputra system. It means Brahmaputra and its, we can say, tributaries, right? Many of the rivers of Brahmaputra systems are free meanders, right? So they go in a, we can say, meandering pattern, right? Like this. So they go in a meandering pattern. So this is known as the meandering pattern, right? So meandering pattern can be written as, you can say, the curved flow, right? Curved flow of river, right? Moving back and forth, right? Moving back and forth. So that is called the meandering pattern of the river, right? So this is the one point, meandering pattern of the river, right? So free meanders. So the next we can write that satellite images have found, you can see, satellite images have found imprints of, we can say, abundant channels in the region, right? So abundant channel, when it is formed, abundant channel, you can say when the river changes its course, right? So then the we can say abundant channel is formed. Let's suppose this was the original flow of the river, right? And suddenly the river has, you can say, changed its course from here, and it has, you can say, it starts moving in this way, right? So beta, it means this part of the channel has been, we can say, abandoned by the river, right? So when the river abandons one part, right, and it's, you can say, takes on the next course, so then obviously beta, this new land will be affected by the floods, right? So this new land will be affected. So beta, this is also one of the reasons that, right, because of this nature of the, you can say, rivers of the Brahmaputra system, right, of the region. And the next is, we can say, avulsions, avulsions. Avulsions are commonly seen in rivers constituting the, we can say, network of Brahmaputra system, right? So now beta, now the next question is that what is the meaning of this term which I have used here, avulsion? Avulsion क्या होता है? Can anybody tell? Avulsion, right? So beta, avulsion क्या होता है? Right? When a river, right? We can say, right? A new channel formed. A new channel formed by a river, right? By a river, by abandoning, right? By abandoning its course rapidly, its previous course rapidly, right? So that is called avulsion. This is a term particularly used for this.
Sir, it also means that when river changes its course,
yes,
like Kosi River.
Yes, better.
Okay.
Yes, rapid change
Rapidly.
of course. Yes,
Okay.
rapid change of course is called this. Okay. Avulsions are there, which are commonly seen there. And the next thing is that we can say sedimentation is considered the major reason behind this, you can say avulsion, right? Behind avulsion, sediment is considered the major reason. And next you can say important thing is that we can say the nature of the river. The nature of the river is said to be, we can say, unstable. Is said to be unstable, seeing its right, seeing its erosion of bed and banks, right? So river keeps on eroding its bed and banks very fastly, right? Bed and banks characteristics, right? Characteristics. The river could not acquire. We can say, the river could not acquire stable character. The river could not acquire stable character, right? Due to the high earthquake. Prone nature of the region. Right? Nature of the region. So this is the reason that why this river is called unstable, right? So this is the second point which we have mentioned here, right? You can better adjust it, so you can say length according to the need of your answer, right? So third point is better sediment deposition. Sediment, you can say deposition. Sediment deposition, right? So in terms of, we can say, in terms of sediment deposition, right? Means Brahmaputra is one among the, we can say, largest rivers of the world. Among the largest rivers of the world, right? Rivers of the world. So beta, there are two statistics which I would like to share here with you, right? One statistics is the, you can say, discharge of water, if we can say, right? One statistics is related to the discharge of water. This is an additional which I'm giving you here, right? And the second statistics which I'm giving you here, that is the sediment discharge, right? Sediment discharge or sediment flow in the river, right? Sediment flow in the river, right? So beta, as far as we can say water discharge is concerned, right? As far as water discharge is concerned, the highest water discharge is, you can say, by the Amazon River in the world. Highest water discharge is by Amazon. It is you can say 99150 cubic meters per second. Cubic meters per second. This is there. Cubic meters per second. Right? Cubic meters per second. That is there. You can say, you can write it like this also, per second. Right? And the second is, we can say Congo River. Congo River. It is a 39660, right, cubic meter per second, right? And the next is Yangtze River. The Yangtze River. Yangtze River. That's of China. And it is a 21800 cubic meter per second. This is the flow. And the next is Brahmaputra, which is, we can say, 19830 cubic meter per second water flow है Brahmaputra में. And the next is Huanghe, Huanghe, that is also river of China. So it's is 19830, equal to the Brahmaputra, almost same है दोनों. So this is things, right? So these are the, you can say, 5 major rivers of the world in terms of the, you can say, water discharge, right? So this is there. One statistics is there. I think you have noted it down. May I raise it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the next is sediment flow here, right? So sediment flow, you can say, is measured in terms of the tons per square meter, right? So in terms of the sediment flow, the number 1 river is the Yellow River of China, right? In this, you can say sediment discharge is 1403 tons per square meter, right? So this is the sediment, per square kilometer. So this is the sediment discharged by this river. And the second is Brahmaputra, right? So the sediment discharged by this river is 1128 tons, you can say, per square kilometer, right? So this is the sediment discharged, right? So this is the figure of sediment discharged in Bangladesh by the Brahmaputra, right? And the third, again, you can say Brahmaputra, right? Right? Here the sediment discharged is, you can say, 804 in, we can say, Assam, right? So Assam में ये इतना sediment करती है, right? Near Guwahati, we can say, at that point. The sediment discharged is this, right? And the next one is Irrawaddy. In this respect, Irrawaddy. So Irrawaddy River discharges 616, right? Tons per square kilometer. And the next is Yangtze. So it means you can say sediment discharge rate is very high in this river, right? Sediment discharge rate is very high of the river Brahmaputra, right? So sediment discharge rate is high. So that is why what is happening, right, with the discharge of sediments on its bed. The point is that with the discharge of sediments, on its bed, right? The depth of the river decreases, right? Depth of the river decreases, and that is why the water channel, right? The water channel needs to, you can say, spread through its banks, needs to spread through its banks. So beta, this is another reason that why the floods are there, right? So जब वहाँ sediment deposition होती है इतनी ज़्यादा, तो फिर वाटर ने अपना रास्ता बनाना होता है, right? तो फिर वो क्या करता है, फिर वो bank erosion करता है, and when the bank erosion happens, so then the floods come, right? So this is the next point, and beta, in this yeah, you can see very important point is that, right, sediment deposition is high because the soil erosion rate is high, right? Soil erosion rate, right? So beta, you can say this river, first of all, let me write that this river, right, transports sediments, right, from Tibet mainly. The sediments are transported from Tibet. How and why? The one thing is that in Tibet region, the rate of the erosion remains very high because of the aridity there, number one, right? Next is a lack of plantation there. Plantation nahi hai. And the third is, you can say, melting of glaciers, right? Melting of glaciers, right? So beta, we can say in the present time, due to the global warming, the glaciers are melting. So beta, that is why flow in the water, flow of water in the rivers would increase, right? So these are the three reasons: melting of glaciers, lack of plantation, and you can say aridity. That is why the rate of, we can say, erosion in Tibet region remains high. The rate of erosion in Tibet region remains high. So this is an important point, beta. The rate of erosion in Tibet region remains high, right? Remains high. So this is the reason, right? And beta, and the next important point which is required to be mentioned here, right? And when the river enters into Assam, when the river enters, we can say, into Assam, right? Enters into Assam plains, right? Enters into Assam plains, right? We can say it falls down, right? It falls down from a high slope, right? It falls down from a, you can say, high slope, right? From a high slope, and that's why its velocity decreases immediately, right? Its velocity decreases immediately, and its load carrying capacity is reduced. Load carrying capacity is reduced, and the river deposits the sediments in, we can say, Assam plains, right? The river deposits the sediment there in, we can say, Assam plains part, right? So the river deposits the sediments in, we can say, Assam plain parts. So this is also an important point, right? Sediments there in the, we can say, Assam plain parts. So is this point clear, beta, to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. So I am erasing it to move forward, right? So the next point which we talked about, that was beta. The next point was, we can see, the next point was point number 4, right? So point number 4 is regarding the beta, we can say, earthquake, right? Earthquake. So beta, because this region is, you can say, earthquake region, because this falls in the Himalayan zone, right? Where there is the meeting point of the two tectonic plates, right? One is the Indian plate and second is the Eurasian plate, right? So beta, that is why, right? That is why this is an earthquake, prone region, right? And a very devastating earthquake happens in the region in 1950 due to which the you can say level of its bed rose by 2 meters in Dibrugarh area of Assam, right? Assam, and even in some places, its bed was uplift by you can say 8 to 10 meters by the earthquake, right? So because when its bed is risen, when its bed is, we can say, uplift by the, you can say, earthquake, then obviously the depth of the river decreases, right? And if the depth decreases, then obviously the river will try to spread, right, on the, you can say, other sides, right? So because this is also one of the reasons behind the, you can say, earthquakes, right, in this region. And the next important reason is better, you can say, which are the anthropogenic factors, which we will discuss now.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, tell me.
सर मैं दूसरे फोन तो ज्वाइन कर दीजिए, मेरे बार-बार कनेक्शन कट रहा है.
Okay, no problem. Okay. So the next right, so the next point is, we can say, encroachments of catchment area of the river, right? Encroachments of catchment area of the river. Right? So encroachment of catchment area of the river, as far as this is concerned, right, the problem of encroachment is both in China and in India, and in, we can say, India. It is both ways, right? So encroachment includes, you can write here, encroachment includes right, what is included in this? Number one, we can write, you can say, illegal constructions. Number two, we can write here encroachment of wetlands, right? That absorb water during floods. That is also another problem. And the third point is, that is the dumping of solid waste, right, into the rivers, right? So this is another, you can say, reason, right? And the next point is that this is another reason, right? So the next is, we can say, which is deforestation. The next important point is deforestation, right? Deforestation, right? So as far as the deforestation is concerned, in this point, we would write that, right, deforestation, because when deforestation happens, or deforestation reduces the time of, we can say, concentration of overland rainwater, thus the runoff rate is increased, which causes floods, right? So this is the reason, runoff rate is increased, which causes floods, right? The next point is that deforestation in China, Bhutan, and India is the reason also, right? Is the reason also. So that is the point, right? So moreover, this is the next point we can see, right? So first of all, let us complete it, right? Between 2000, right, and 2018 and 2018, India lost 16744 square kilometer of forest cover out of which you can say about 75%, about 75%, so 75% was from northeastern states. So it means the rate of deforestation is very high there, right? So due to the high rate of deforestation, the runoff rate of water increases, and you can say water, you can say the time for the concentration of overland rainwater reduces. So that is why the water flows immediately, and which cause the flash floods even, right? The flash floods even, right? And the next is that we can say China has, the next one point which we can say that China has constructed some dams in the, China has constructed some dams, in the, right, some dams in the we can say upper reaches of Brahmaputra, in the upper reaches of Brahmaputra, in the upper reaches of Brahmaputra. So when you can say, so when it, right, so when it releases water from dams, when it releases water from dams, right, suddenly, right, so the flow of water increases in the river. The flow of water increases in the river. Water increases in the river, right, which spills over in the valley region, right, spills over in the valley region. So this is another reason we can say behind the floods in the state of Assam. Is it clear, beta? Right. So the next important point. So this is clear. This is about the reasons, you can say, right? This is about the reasons, you can say. So this is all about that. So the next you can say point is that the next point is that you can say control measures. So what are the control measures now? The next point is control measures which have been taken, you can say, so far, right? So as far as the control measures are concerned, right? So as far as the control measures are concerned, as we discussed earlier, the first control measure is building of embankments. Building of embankments. And we can say flood embankments, and we can say bank walls or flood walls, we can say, right? Flood walls also, right? Flood walls. So beta, this is a constant effort by the government, right? So embankments are being built, right? Embankments होता है कि रिवर के जो किनारे हैं, ठीक है, उनको बनाते हैं, right? उनको स्ट्रेंथन करते हैं, ठीक है. This effort goes on continuous basis. This effort goes on continuous basis. Continuous basis, right? Right. And to some extent, continuous basis, and to some extent it works even, right? To some extent it works even. It works even, right? But to some extent it works even. Say, Simranjit, mic off, please. You can say it works even, but the flow of water, when comes with force, when comes with force, right? So sometimes the you can say embankments are, sometimes the embankments, right? Embankments are washed away. Sometimes the embankments are washed away by the stream of water, right? So when it comes with the greater force, right? So this is also the reason, right? So the second point which was here, that is the river draining, and we can say bank protection works, right? So second point is the river draining. So the river draining and bank protection works, right? So and bank protection works, right? So beta, as far as this is concerned, so here the firstly we should know that what is the meaning of the, we can say, river draining, right? So firstly we would I would tell you the meaning of the river draining, that the river draining refers to various, we can say, structural measures. River draining refers to various structural measures taken to improve, we can say, right, river, taken to improve river and its banks, right? So various structural measures which are taken, right, to improve the river and its banks. So that is known as the river draining effort, right? So river draining, you can say, river draining is important component, right, in prevention, and we can say mitigation, right, in prevention and mitigation of flash floods, and general flood control, flash floods and general flood control, right? Flood control, right? Because the floods usually come when the water discharged is beyond the capacity of the river, right? Beyond the capacity of the, you can say, river, right? So that is there, right? So river draining includes, the next is river draining includes. So what is included in the river draining? We can say the river draining includes, like you can say, construction of we can say check dams, right? So when we construct the check dams there, that is also a part of the river draining, right? So bank protection, right? Bank protection walls, that is also a part of the river draining, right? Embankments, that is also a part of the river draining, right? Embankments, when we do sandbagging, that is also a part of the river draining, right? Sometimes bamboo piles are made, right? So all these are parts of the river draining, etc. So any measure which is taken to, right, mitigate or control the floods, right, by, you can say, bringing by either, you can say, right, constricting the flow of the river, right, or by, you can say, given it a little bit direction also. So all those measures are part of the river draining, right? So next is beta, the objectives of the river draining are, so what are the objectives of the river draining, right? So first objective of the river draining can be said that safe and quick passage of safe and quick passage of, we can say, high flood, right? High flood of water. When it comes, so it should cross safely without harming, right? So next is beta efficient transport of sediment load, right? As we have talked that there is too much load of the sediments in this river, so that is why you can say this can help, right? And the third point is beta provide sufficient draft for providing sufficient draft for navigation, right? Navigation. Okay. Beta here the term you can say draft which we have used, that means minimum depth of water, right? Which is required for navigation of a ship or boat, that is called the drafting for navigation, right? So minimum depth of water which is required for the navigation of a ship or boat. So that is what we mean here. And the fourth point is beta you can say making a river stable, right? Making river stable, right? Making river stable and prevent bank erosion right? So fifth point is that you can say provide, we can say, right, outflanking of a structure, right, by we can say directing the flow, of river in a desired, you can say by you can say directing the flow of river in a desired stretch, we can say, in a desired stretch, right? So जब हम उसके flow को divert कर देते हैं, so एक structure develop करके, so that is also known as the you can say river training. So these are the various you can say objectives of the river training, right? We do the river training, right? As you know, right? We have done the river training of Ganga also, right? At Ganga also. Where? At Fraka. Do you know, na? At Fraka. We have done the river training at Ganga also, right? You know, right? So here Ganga is coming, right? So when Ganga enters into this Bangladesh, so better then we can say at that point, right? So so here it branches off, right? Bhagirathi river, right? Bhagirathi Hooghly river, which enters into the West Bengal from here, right? So better that you can say stream branches off, right? So better here we have made a barrage which is known as the Fraka barrage, right? So the purpose of Fraka barrage is what? The purpose of Fraka barrage is, you can say, to store the water in this dam, right? So that you can say in the off seasons also, the minimum requisite flow of water should be ensured in this, you can say, Bhagirathi river, right? In this Bhagirathi river, right? Because if this minimum flow of water is not ensured in this Bhagirathi river, in that case, beta, what will happen? The Calcutta port will run dry. Right? And it would be difficult, right? And the navigation of ships would become impossible, right? Navigation of ships would become impossible there, right? Become impossible, right? Because one thing is important that Calcutta port is not on Bay of Bengal, right? That is on the Bhagirathi Hooghly river, right? It would become impossible. And Calcutta port is very much important port because it serves the, right? Because it serves the Western UP Bihar state, Jharkhand state, right? Nepal, Sikkim, West Bengal, entire northeast, and you can see Bhutan, right? So it serves this much area, right? It serves Nepal also, it serves Bhutan also, and it serves entire northeast of the country also, right? And it serves, you can say, Western UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal states of the country also. So that is why Calcutta port is very much important port for India, right? And we have to make sure that you can see the minimum, you can say, amount of water should be there in this river, right? To ensure the navigation of the ships there, right? So the next point is with anti-erosion and town protection measures which have been taken, right? Anti-erosion and town protection measures right? Anti-erosion and town protection measures which the government takes, right? So beta, in this we can say the various measures taken in this respect includes, right? I would write like this here, right? Number one, we can say protection of Majuli Island. Protection of Majuli Island, right? You know, beta, Majuli Island is the world's
Yes, sir. Only river
largest.
and island.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
In India.
Yes, world's largest beta, you can say, inhabited river island. Right, in 2016, it has been recorded in the Guinness Book of World Records also. Right, and beta, Majuli is the only island on the mainland of India which has been declared a district, right, in 2016, which has been declared a district in 2016, right? So this is important, right? So protection of Majuli Island from the flood erosion, right? Because beta, as per the statistics, we can say in the year 1890, 1890, right? The size of the Majuli Island was 1250 square kilometer. And by the year 2019-20, right? So beta, its size has been reduced to 515 square kilometer only, 515 square kilometer only. So this is due to this river only, Brahmaputra river. So beta, according to the, you can say, experts, that if the rate of erosion remains the same, right? If the rate of erosion remains the same, right? Then by, you can say, 2040, right? Then by 2040, this island may disappear. Right? This island may disappear. So that is why it is very much important to save this island. Why? Because this island is known as the cultural capital of, you can say, Assam. Right? This island is known as the cultural capital of Assam. Cultural capital of Assam. Right? Cultural capital of Assam. Right? And you can say, we can say this, and is known as the cradle of civilization. Right? Since the 16th century. Since the 16th century, and this island is famous for, you can say, pottery making also. Right? So जैसी पॉटरी हम देखते हैं हड़प्पा सिविलाइजेशन में, तो वैसी पॉटरी हमें यहाँ मिलती है, right? Famous for pottery also. And this you can say island's name is associated with, you can say, Shankaracharya also, right? Vaishnavite जो थे, right? New Vaishnavite, say medieval age के. So he stayed there on this island also. So beta, that is why this island has, we can say, geographical importance, right? This island has, you can say, historical importance. This island has a religious importance. This island has cultural importance also, right? And this island is the largest inhabited river island in the world. So beta, that is why this island is the prestige of India, right? This is known as the cultural capital of the state, right? And beta, one more question, beta, which can be asked to you in the examination, right? That you can say this island is nearest to, right? Is nearest to, right? To which place this island is, we can say, nearest, right? So beta, that question can be asked, right? So beta, this island is nearest to, I think there is one district of Assam. I will tell you, right? So beta, at present, it is not in my mind, right? So beta, I will send you the message, right? So it is nearest to, I think the name is from D. The name starts from D. I will tell you. At present, that is not in my mind, right? So sorry for that, right? So you must, I will tell you this about this, because this question can be asked. नहीं बेटा, Dibru, I think नहीं है. I think Dibru नहीं है, right? So I will tell you, not an issue, right? So right, so beta, that is there. So the next point is that, right? So the next important point related with this is that we can say inhabitants, right? Inhabitants of you can say Majuli. Inhabitants of Majuli are, right? Mostly you can say tribal people are there, right? So Mishmis are in the maximum number, right? So Mishmis are there, right? So next is Deori, and the next is, you can say, Sonowal. ठीक है. असम का प्रेसिडेंट है जो, वो भी मजूली आइलैंड को बिलोंग करता है. सॉरी, चीफ मिनिस्टर एट दिस टाइम, राइट? सो सोनोवाल, KACHARIS, राइट? सोनोवाल काचरीज बोलते हैं उनको. सो दिस इज द, you can say, right? Sonowal Kachiris.
Sir, yes. Is it Joharat district?
Sorry, beta, Mishing.
Joharat.
Yes, maybe. Jorhat se hai. Yes, maybe. Jorhat se hai. So this is there, right? So Jorhat is there. Yes, Jorhat is there. Because it is only, I think, 20-30 kilometers from there, and the ferry services are there from there to, you can say, go there, right? So that is why it is nearest to them, right? So the question can be asked, right? Guwahati, second is Jorhat, right? Third is something else, fourth is something else. So like this, right? So choices can be given. Right? So that is there. So this is the point, right? So the next, right? The next point is that you can say the next one is the, this you can say protection of the Majuli Island in this, which we have mentioned. And the next is the, we can say, avulsion measures, right? Avulsion of river Brahmaputra at some places, right? River Brahmaputra, right? So engineering methods से वो भी हमने किया है, avulsion of river Brahmaputra. And the next point is beta restoration, right? Restoration of river, we can say Dihang, of river Dihang, right? Restoration of river Dihang and Lohit and Lohit, right, to their original courses. So that is also, the efforts are being done for that also, to their original courses. So this is also there, right? And next is the bank protection, etc., etc. That is a continuous measure, a continuous process which goes on, right? And this is the point. And the next point there is, we can say, flood forecasting, right? The next point is, that is the flood forecasting is the next point. flood forecasting, right? Flood forecasting, right? And beta, you should note that when we do the flood forecasting involves, right? It involves, right? Number one, we can say forecasting of precipitation, right? Forecasted, you can say precipitation. पहले हम precipitation की forecasting करते हैं, right? Precipitation, ये rainfall कितना होने वाला है, right? This is the one thing. And second important point in flood forecasting, that is, you can say stream flow data. We take the stream flow data. Second is, we can say stream flow data, right? Stream flow data in rainfall runoff, So that is the next thing, right? Stream flow data in rainfall runoff. So that is the next point, right? So, and the third is that you can say stream flow route models. So we need to see these three things, right? Not only the rate of precipitation, right? So stream flow, route models also, So beta, after considering all these three things, right? Number one, precipitation कितनी होने जा रही है. Number two, stream flow में रन ऑफ कितना होगा, हम उसका अंदाजा लगाते हैं. And number three, stream flow का रूट क्या रहेगा, हम उसका अंदाजा लगाते हैं. And on that basis we do the, you can say, flood forecasting, right? So this is the way that these are the various measures which have been taken, which are being taken so far by the government to you can say control and mitigate the floods, and you can say to prevent the losses or mitigate the losses from the floods there, right? So the next thing is that is the concluding part, right? So as far as the concluding part is concerned, right? So as far as the concluding part is concerned, you can say in 1982, the Brahmaputra board, right? Board prepared a master plan. On the river. Right? And it suggested, right? It suggested the building of dams and reservoirs. Dams and reservoirs to mitigate floods in the region. Right? So floods in the region. So beta इसके अंदर क्या था? Right? So that is, it was opposed by the local people and by the environmentalists also. It was opposed by the local people and by environmentalists also. So it was opposed by those, right? By environmentalists also, right? And so this plan could not move forward. So this plan could not move forward. So this is the one point, right? So the next is the flood control measures. Flood control measures, right? The flood control measures, right? You can say the government is mainly focusing on mainly focusing on, right? Focusing on embankments, and we can say dredging, right? And dredging, right? Dredging खोदना उसके bed को और deeper करना, right? And dredging, we can say, right? But there are two problems. What is the problem in this? Number one, we can say that these measures are only ad hoc measures, not permanent solutions. These measures are, we can say, ad hoc measures, which do not provide permanent solution, right? And moreover, seeing the flow of sediments in the river, in the river, and the probability of you can say dredged sediments being slipped back into the river. It seems that dredging is not a good exercise, right? Particularly in case of Brahmaputra, right? Because अगर आप ड्रेजिंग करोगे तो नेक्स्ट ईयर उतना ही फिर आ जाता है सेडिमेंट उसके अंदर, सो नेक्स्ट ईयर फिर आपको ड्रेजिंग करनी पड़ती है. एंड बेटा इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल, राइट? इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल टू, यू कैन से, keep on dredging on continuous basis because it is very, very costly, right? It is not possible, right, to keep on dredging on you can say continuous basis because it is very costly, and moreover, right, dredging becomes impossible during the rainy season, right? Impossible during the rainy season, when the problem occurs, right? Right? So this is the next point है जो dredging को लेकर के जो हम बात कर रहे हैं. And the second issue is that seeing that the dredging and you can say embankments are only seeing that the dredging and embankments are only ad hoc measures. Okay, so the government is not right is not paying attention and ready to spend much, right? Spending much on the we can say embankments to improve those, right? Because this is only, you can say, ad hoc measure only, right? So this is the point, right? So beta, what next is possible, right? So then what can be possible, right? So one is that which was suggested by Tanya, right, in the beginning of this lecture, that you can say a national level flood control policy should be there, which is being lacked by India so far, right? So one point you can take that, right? So the second point is that you can say a river basin approach can be followed, right? A river basin approach can be followed. River basin approach means river basin approach can be followed, right? River basin approach means you can say all the countries sharing the river basin of Brahmaputra, right? All the countries sharing the river basin of Brahmaputra, sharing the river basin of the river system should come on the same page, right? Should come on the same page and work out a common and comprehensive strategy. Work out a common and comprehensive strategy, right? Because in this you can say China has to play its role, right? Because the construction of dams there, and you can say the next is rate of erosion there is very high. So in that particular thing, China only can help, right? And some problem is from the, you can say, Bhutan side also, right? When the, you can say, floods come in Bhutan, then the problem occurs, right? And from the Indian side also, right? And you can say if we talk about the Bangladesh, then Bangladesh would like the measures to be taken by the India, China, as well as the Bhutan also, right? Because beta, in this thing we can say that measures taken by a country, measures taken by a country in the, right, in the, we can say, lower course of the river, in the lower course of the river, right, have no meaning, right, unless the countries in the upper course, unless the countries in the upper course of the river, cooperate, right? In the upper course of the river cooperate, right? So जब तक वो नहीं cooperate करते, जब तक वो नहीं same pace पे आते, जब तक हमारी एक, you can say, common strategy नहीं बनती, तब तक it is not possible, right?
Sir?
So one point is this, right? Yes.
Sir, do we follow this strategy in Indus River Basin with Pakistan?
Yes.
That's why
beta.
there are no flooding.
Yes, beta, yes. So beta, one point is this, and the second point is beta, which is important. That is beta, floodplain zoning, right? Floodplain zoning, right? So as far as the floodplain zoning is concerned, beta, in this floodplain zoning, we can say, let's suppose this is the floodplain zone, one single floodplain zone. So beta, in this case, you can say the entire floodplain zone is divided into, entire floodplain is divided into various zones, right? Seeing the, you can say, vulnerability to floods of a particular zone, right? Seeing the vulnerability to floods of a particular zone, right? So beta, this approach is followed by the US also, right? This approach is followed by the US also. Suppose these are the various, you can say, flood zones in this particular whole floodplain, right? So beta, in this what we do, we divide the entire floodplain into various zones, right? So in this what we do, we divide the entire floodplain, into various zones, right? Into various zones, we can say, right? Into various zones on the basis of, we can say, vulnerability of an area, right? Vulnerability to floods of an area, we can say, area, right? And seeing the flood proneness and seeing the flood proneness, then you can say seeing the flood proneness of a region, right? Proneness of a region, of a zone, we can say, right? The strategy is tailored in accordance, right? You can say strategy for each flood zone. Strategy for each flood zone is made, you can say, separately, right? Is made separate. So because you can say risk chances can be, you can say, varied, right? So you can say let's suppose in this particular zone, right, we can say risk of this flood is we can say highest, right? And we can say in this particular zone, the risk of flood is the least, we can say minimum risk of flood, right? So better then in that case, we can say the government needs to concentrate much here and concentrate less here, right? And better this would need is a different approach than the approach is adopted in this zone, right? So that is why flood zoning approach is a good approach, right? And US has already practiced this approach, right? So in this light, you can answer this question. But this is an important question because the problem is very chronic, right? So beta, is it clear to you?
Yes, sir. Very well explained.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
sir.
ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਮਤਲਬ ਅਰਥਕੁਇਕ ਪ੍ਰੋਨ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਸਰ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਰਹੂਗੀ
Yes, beta, that can be there, right? You can say river may change its course in future also, right? But beta, in the present situations, in the present circumstances, what we can do, that is, this can be the best strategy, right? Earthquakes cannot be prevented. No?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So Simranjit, anything else you want to ask?
नहीं सर, ये क्लियर हो गया जी.
Okay. Paramjit, Sukhchayan, Simran, anybody else?
Clear,
Tania?
sir. It's very much clear.
Okay, Tania, clear, beta?
हाँ जी सर, clear है जी सब कुछ.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right, beta. Because now you need to write only 200 words, and those can be written easily. 200 words on this basis, right? So beta, the next topic which we will start today, right? That topic is related with agriculture, which we started in the previous lecture. The new topic, right? So beta, from that point of view, right? So today we are moving further on that particular topic.